Okay. So you all have your mat. We're going to start with a simple seated pose this morning. And we encourage you to take the block or your pillow and place it between your knees. So that when you're sitting up a little bit taller. Does that make sense? So I've got my yoga block and I'm just going to place it between my knees here. So I'm bringing it towards my ankle bones. So when I sit back, my sit bones are on top of it. And sometimes, depending on how tight you are, you can stack that yoga block. So you've got, two or, a pillow and a yoga block or whatever combination of the two you want to have. So actually, this feels quite good for me today. So I'm going to keep that stacked position with my two yoga blocks underneath my sit bones here. And I've got a gentle press of my ankle bones into that so that I'm activating those inner thighs all the way up and into the pelvic floor. So now with the pelvic floor, can you tilt?
That's what we do now, Gloria.
You guys hear me okay?
Yes, you froze momentarily.
So I'm gonna get the volume up. Is that better?
You froze.
I froze. Okay. Can you still hear me, but I'm frozen?
Now you're okay.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. So back to what I was saying about the pelvic tilt. Let's take those yoga blocks and we're going to tilt the pelvis forward. So we're sliding your hips back and then just warm up by tilting forward and back. So allow yourself to rock back to the back of your sit bones and then sit up nice and tall. And this isn't always something that you can do when you're sitting on your heels, but this little lift through the tailbone should help you get a bit more action in that core as you warm up in this position. Let's try two more. Tilt the pelvis forward and then bring it back to a little bit of extension. And one more time, tilt it forward. Hold that little bit of contraction and come back to a neutral spot so you're not tilted forward or back. And we're going to take it into a quick little twist. So reach across with one hand on your knee, slide that other hand around your back and see if you can open that shoulder behind you. Take a little look behind your back. Inhale as you come back to center. Exhale, take it over to the other side. Grab onto that knee, slide your hand around your lower back. Take the shoulder and open it up. Inhale here. And then exhale as you come back to center. Let's slide our hands down, come into a 4-point kneeling position, and then just grab one of your blocks. If you had two of them, place it off to the side. And I'm going to take the other one between my shins here. So I'm pressing the block in between my shins. That's going to help with your knee alignment. And then take a second to take your arms and lift them up so you're not putting too much tension in your wrists. And then we're going to go into our cat-cow. So inhale. And take an exhale and round through that back. Squeeze into the block and let your tailbone drop down. Look between your shoulders towards your navel. And then push forward, open it up. Keep a little bit of tension on your block. So as you do this, you're doing another thing. You're activating your core to prepare for a little bit more of a load, which we're going to go into in a second. Last one here, and then come back to that nice neutral alignment. Take your one arm straight out in front of you and lengthen it back down. And let's take that other arm straight out in front of us. Lengthen it back down. And then walk your hands forward about one palm distance. Let's curl those toes under. We're going to inhale and start to hover the knees up towards just a little lift off of the ground and press them back down. And we're going to do that 2 more times before we make our way to down dog. Just have a look at your elbow positioning. Are your elbows facing each other? Can you recruit those back muscles? So as you lift this time, start to extend the legs behind you, keeping a hold of that block if you can, and reach your heels towards the ground as your butt reaches up towards the ceiling. Inhale, take it forward into a plank position. Bend your knees and come on back down. Slide your hips back into your child's pose. Stretch those arms out. Let's try that again. Inhale, come up to all fours. Curl your toes under. Lift your knees to a supported lift and heels reach back. Coming into that nice downward facing dog position. Spread the toes wide, spread the fingers wide. Inhale, come back to plank. Bend your knees and take it down. Let's slide that block out from underneath us and take them to the front of your mat. We're going to place our hands on the blocks now, so we're a little bit more elevated. And then take those toes, curl them under, start to lift your hips up towards the ceiling, and you have this nice elevation in your downward dog. Now, it's not a friendly pose for you. Elevating your arms is going to make you feel much more length in your back. Inhale to stay connected into this position, and then exhale, come forward into plank. Drive your knees into a bent position, reach the knees down, and slide your hips back. Taking those arms over top, and then press yourself back to all fours. Okay, we're gonna do a little sun salutation to warm up, and then we're gonna get into some nice hip openers today. So for your sun salutation, use the blocks or don't use the blocks, it's entirely up to you, but having them at the front of your mat will give you the opportunity to use them when you need them. So I'm just gonna keep them handy. I'm gonna come into all fours. Let's take those toes, curl them under, lift the hips up into your downward facing dog. We're gonna step forward to the hands, come into a halfway lift. Think of your hamstrings reaching behind you and your head reaching forward. Now soften your knees, swan dive those arms all the way up. Reach into a nice lengthened position through those arms. Exhale down into your mountain pose. Inhale, lift again. Exhale, dive forward. Let's take the left foot, step it back. So you're in a nice lunge position. Use those blocks if you need to, right in front of that foot. Let's take the back knee down, come into your crescent lunge. Reach those arms up and bend the elbows. Holding the core nice and firm. Squeeze that glute. Inhale, lengthen those arms up. Dive forward with the hands, come back into your runner's lunge. Let's step those feet together. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. Reach the right foot back this time. Take a second to lengthen that leg before we drop that knee down onto the mat. And then reach those arms up into your crescent lunge. Bend the elbows to that cactus arm. Open your chest. Inhale. Exhale, reach those arms up and all the way down in front of you again. Take that back toe, lift the knee. Step those feet together. Inhale, swan dive up. Exhale, forward fold. Drive those heels back into your downward facing dog. Pedal out those heels, one side and then the other. Option to come down to your knees. Lower yourself slowly onto your mat. Open your chest into your cobra. Inhale, curl the toes under. Exhale, push back into plank and down into your downward dog. Okay, we're gonna do that flow one more time with the right side. So take a breath in, step your feet up to your hands, halfway lift. Inhale, stand tall, reach towards the sky. Exhale, let those hands fall down by your side. Mountain pose. Inhale up, exhale, dive forward. This time we're gonna step the right leg back, find that lunge position, and then once your hips are lined up, take your back knee down, open the arm, reach it up, bend the elbows. Release that tension in your chest. Inhale, lift those arms up again. Exhale, take it forward. Come back into that lunge. Step those feet together. Swan dive, inhale, standing tall. Exhale, bring your hands down, forward fold. And let's take the left leg back. Find your lunge. Drop the knee down to the mat. Open the chest, open the arms. And then bend the elbows, soften. Inhale here. Exhale, take the arms forward. Maybe this time you don't need the blocks. Come back into your lunge. Let's step the front foot back to the back foot into your plank position. Push your hips up into your downward facing dog. Taking it into a flow, bring your hips forward. Either drop down to your knees or lower down slowly onto your belly. Open up into your cobra. Inhale as you come back. Exhale, push yourself back into your nice child's pose. Just generating some heat in those muscles. Inhale here. And then exhale, come all the way forward. Drive your knees in towards your wrists. We're going to cross the ankles and then have feet on the sit bones. Good. Okay, so we're going to do some hip openers. So you take your block or your pillow to the medium height, or the low, I should say the lowest height. Okay, and we're going to slide down onto our back. Bring your hips onto the mat, feet nice and close, and then slide your hips up so you can take that block and place it underneath. A little higher than your tailbone, so you've got a little bit of that lower back supported as well. So the idea here is to lengthen out those hip flexors and keep connected to the core. So let's bring one leg up to tabletop, pull that knee into your chest and slide the other leg out. The leg that you're holding on to, gently rock it back and forth. See if you can let go of any tension. And I'm going to take my foot on this top leg here and place it down on my thigh. Then take the opposite hand and start to bring that leg a little bit across. So you're feeling the stretch through the IT band a little more, and then the hips sort of is your secondary part into this stretch. Breathe into it. See if you can go a little deeper into that pull. And then on your next exhalation, bring that leg back. Same leg, I'm gonna cross the ankle bone on top of that knee now. Drive the other leg in close to your bum. So it's still on the floor and I'm just pushing this knee out. And then on your next exhale, float both legs up towards you. So option to hold on to the front leg and gently push on the knee. Or if you feel a little bit more flexible this morning, you can grab onto that hamstring. Or try both, because you never know, like one might feel good, but then the second one might be even better. So it's good to kind of experiment when you're doing the stretch to see what feels good. And when I say feel good, I mean you're getting a stretch out of it. Now activate that bottom leg and start to reach it up towards the ceiling. So now you're stretching your hamstring, and because you're elevated, that should be a little bit easier. And take a breath here. Really press that foot away, up towards the ceiling. Okay, now we're gonna activate the core. So being very careful with your positioning of your pelvis. Let go of your hands and lower those legs both down to the 45 and then back up to 90. And if that's too much, just bend your knee and you can do the same motion. So the movement is coming from those lower abdominals, not your back. Two more. And on that number 5, one, we're gonna take it all the way down onto the mat. Take that first leg, release it, and let's switch sides. Pull your knee into your chest. See if you can walk that other leg out a bit so you're opening up through the front of that thigh. Now take a second to notice if you're elevated, did you overarch your back just then? Which might mean you need to bring your leg a little bit closer. So just play with that a bit. You'll find a spot where it feels like a stretch without, stressing the back. Now take that top leg and place it on your thigh. We're gonna grab the outside of the leg with the opposite hand, and I'm bringing it just a little bit across. So you feel that IT band, maybe a little bit into your glute. and then release it. And let's try it a little bit more. Stretch it across. And then we're gonna take that ankle bone, place it on top of your thigh, walk your bottom leg in. Give yourself a second to settle into this, and then when you're ready, lift those legs up. And now play with your hand position. Maybe you wanna push gently on that top leg. Maybe you wanna grab that hamstring. Find a way to support your body in this stretch. And then on your next exhale, let's take that bottom leg and see if we can lengthen it up, stretching the hamstring out. Really activate your core. So on the next exhale, we can do that core activation, lower and lift. It's not a big movement. We're not using momentum. We're really using the core here. And 3, and 2, and 1. Bend the knee and place that foot back down. Good, and let's undo the cross of those legs. Take your hips up into your bridge position. Let's take that block out from underneath you. Slide it off to the side and see if you can interlace your fingers, roll your shoulder blades together, open the chest a bit more as you come a little higher into your bridge. Take a nice deep inhale there. Exhale, release your hands. Walk your feet a touch closer. See if you can touch your ankle bones with your fingertips. And then that's just to lengthen your arms and reach your shoulders away from your ears. We're gonna slide those hips all the way back down, nice and easy. Let's take your block in between your thighs now. So whatever prop you're using, anything like a ball or a pillow or a block is great to use between your knees because you're gonna get a nice bit of inner thigh action. And that all leads up to the core. You know, we always think about working the core is about sit-ups, but really, if I'm doing my job right, you should feel your core in all of these little movements that we're doing. So take a breath in, squeeze into those feet and hips, lift them up again. Take those hips up, squeeze into that block and lower it down. We're building strength and endurance into those glutes and hamstrings. Lift those hips up and bringing it back down. Trying 2 more like that. We're gonna take the hands and float them up with us. See if you can reach those thumbs behind you onto the ground. Get an extra bit of length through that chest and then roll the hips down, bring the arms up to the front of your body. And let's do 1 more. Arms back, hips forward, lengthen it out. Inhale here. And then exhale, slow and steady return softly down onto your mat, hands by your side. Okay, going a little deeper now into those core muscles. I'm gonna slide that block between my shins this time. And option to take your hands behind your head or leave your head and neck on the mat. So I'm going to start with my toes, just touching the mat, and then I'm gonna lift them up to tabletop and then lowering that back down. So we're doing a little femur arc here. So we're taking those toes, touch and lift. And just that nice little action of holding the block gives you the extra bit of support you need. Check your pelvic position. Have you arched or have you tucked under? Now, once that feels okay, lift your head, neck, and shoulders. Look towards the knees and block, and we're gonna do 5 more. Really turning on those core muscles. Challenge the lift by taking the shoulder blades up just another inch or 2, if it's available to you. And 1 more here. Stretch the legs up, lower the head and neck, wrap yourself around, grab those hamstrings, pull the legs in towards you, and then grab that block so it doesn't fall on your head. Flex those feet up towards the ceiling. And we're gonna start to get ready for our boat pose. But before we do, let's stretch that lower back, bend the knees in, tuck yourself into a nice tight ball, and let's roll it from side to side. Both poses like your supported teaser. So a lot of core work happening, but you've got the support of your hands, which is kind of nice. So let's try one leg and then the other. So roll yourself up nice and easy. Keep those hands underneath the legs. And we're gonna take one leg and just extend it out. Now, a way to support this movement, if you need additional support for your abdominals, is to take the opposite hand behind you as you lift the one leg up and then switch. And both pose we're gonna do next, we're gonna bring those knees in towards us, scoop the belly, hollow it out. And if staying here is enough work for you today, then just stay here. And if you want to extend those legs, start to reach the toes up to the 45. And then from that position, see if you can straighten your back a little bit. So you're looking towards those shins and toes. Even with your knees bent, see if you can straighten that back up a little bit. And then start to come all the way back down, one vertebrae at a time, lowering yourself down onto your mat, whether your legs are bent or straight, and rest. Take those feet nice and wide to the outside edges of your mat. Let your hands fall down by your side and sway those hips from side to side. And let's go for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Now, can you hold them down on that one side? So both knees are reaching across in a 90-degree bend in the front leg and a 90-degree bend in the back. We're going to take the hip a little bit more onto the ground and then tuck that bottom arm underneath your head. So you're still in a 90-degree bend in the front leg, the bottom leg is underneath, and the top leg is behind you. And we're gonna walk that back leg behind us a bit more, give your hip a bit of extension. Keep your arm in front of you for now, just to support your body. Okay, and we're gonna talk about a couple of different options here. So the chest is gonna open up into a rotation. So when you're in that position with your legs, start to take that arm up towards the ceiling and then see if you can reach that arm down behind you. If that is too intense for your hips, you can take the block, slide it underneath your shoulder, and then that should help you to release a little bit. Now, remember, this is just an option. I know some of you are going to go for this, but don't feel you need to. This is quite a big, intense stretch for this back leg. So if you're feeling that, you can stay here. If you want to go a little deeper, you're going to take that back hand, reach down for that ankle bone, and pull the ankle towards your bum. Take the hand that's under your head, stretch it out. So you're getting that nice, intense lengthening through the hip flexor down into your quad. Inhale. And then exhale, we're going to slowly release the hand. Slowly bring that back leg in so it's stacked, knee on top of the other knee, and return your back hand to the front of your body. Now let's take that bottom arm underneath, grab that front knee, bring it in towards us, and straighten the bottom leg out. Can you drop that knee down in front? And then take your top hand straight up towards the ceiling. Once again, opening up a little bit more into the chest as that front leg anchors you. And the chest can be quite tight, so go easy on this. Proper form is better than trying to force the stretch. Reach up, top arm. Couple more times, see if you can get a little bit more opening. And then bring that arm a little up, not a little, all the way down. Bring it in front of you so that you can take that top leg and extend it in line with your other leg. So we're gonna build up some endurance now in those hips. Point your toes and flex to lower. Point your toes, reach. Trying not to change the shape of the pelvis here. So you're not going too high on this one. We're just warming up through those glutes and inner thighs. Point, flex and lower. Point, flex and lower. 3 and 2 and 1. Now hold it there. And we're going to take the feet and turn them out. So when you drop that leg down, the heels are touching. And just take your feet forward enough so you have a bit of a hinge in your hip. So you're not completely straight or you won't be able to do this next part. So we're going to take the toe into the knee, extend that leg up, flex, and draw the inner thighs together. Take the toe into the knee, extend. Think dancer legs here. Harness your inner dancer. Nice and graceful as you lengthen that leg and lower it down, heel to heel. Float the toe up, float the leg down. Try 3 more just like that. Hips should feel nice and fluid. Upper body is not moving, or we're trying to keep it still. Last one here. We're gonna hold, grab underneath that thigh, flex that foot, pull the top leg towards you, even if you have to bend your knee here. Give that hip a little love. Hold to generate a little bit of resistance by pushing your thigh into your hand. And then on your next exhale, release the hand, float the leg down. See how weightless it feels all of a sudden. Now that top leg is gonna come in front as you push yourself up. Bring the leg all the way across and let's hug that knee into that opposite shoulder. Now wherever the back leg is, see if you can move it out enough to sit down on both hip bones, sit bones. If that's not possible, you might have to straighten your leg out and then sit down on both hip bones. You're still gonna get a fantastic stretch on that glute. And now it's all warm. And then come on back to center. Let's cradle that leg, pick it up. So we've got a hold of the knee and we've got a hold of the ankle. And we're just gonna rock it back and forth a little bit, finding some release. Inhale, bring it back to center, and exhale, slide it out. Let's take an inhale, reach those arms up, spine stretch, reach towards those toes, dive over top, round your back. Wherever you are, start to flatten that back out, reach and look up towards the screen or your ceiling. And then slowly articulate that spine all the way back to your start position. Let's switch sides. So we're gonna take that first position, hip is open behind you, knee is in the front. So it's like a 90-degree bend on your front leg and on your back leg. And then once you're in that position, we're gonna see if we can open the chest and reach your arms out into that T position. Bring that bottom leg a little closer. Now this might be enough right here. And if it is, you can go ahead and stay there. I hear birdies chirping. And if not, if you want to go a little deeper, see if you can reach back and grab that ankle bone. Don't do it if your hamstrings are really tight. And then slowly hold that stretch. We can release the hand first. And then slowly bring that arm back. Let's stack those hips right together. Take your front leg and bend it so that it's at a 90-degree bend on the ground in front. And now focus on that upper back. Stretch and rotate. Reach it open. That's some nature joining you there, Maria, it sounds like. It's like those Solitudes music that we put on. Nature background. Reach that arm back as far as it'll go. Hold it there for a breath. And on your next exhale, we're going to take it all the way back. Let's lengthen that leg so both legs are straight. Have a little lift in that bottom. Now point your toe, lift it up, and flex and lower it down. So by flexing that foot, it's going to change the shape of the muscle in the front of your thigh. Point, flex, and down. Point, flex. Use all of those inner and thigh muscles together. Last two. And last one. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of a hinge, turn those toes out. The heels are connected. Bring the top toe into your knee and extend it up, flex and lower that leg. So slow and deliberate. Squeeze the inner thighs. So as I bring my legs close together, I'm thinking of the inner thighs connecting, not the ankles. That will just happen naturally. Reach. We have a little competition over here. My window's open and now I'm hearing the birds outside chirping. I see lots of worms out there. Two more. Let that leg feel nice and fluid. Last one, we're gonna hold it up there, wrap your arm around. And again, you can bend the knee if you need to. Pull it in a bit. Pushing that thigh into your hand. Hold it for 4, 3, keep the hip open, 2, and 1. Release the hand, float that leg all the way down. Good, and let's pull that top knee in, push yourself up, and bring the leg across. And again, wherever you need to be, if that bottom leg is too tight, extend it out from underneath you, and just pull that knee towards the opposite shoulder. See if you can rotate over. Look around through the shoulder. And then on your next exhale, slowly undo. Reach those feet all the way in front of you. Inhale up. Exhale, see if you can go a little deeper into your forward stretch. Lengthen your chest up. And then round your chest, let your hands go and come all the way back. Nice. Good. Okay, so we're going to take those legs back on the ground in front of us. We're going to go a little bit deeper into our shoulders. So this requires both of these blocks or a block and a ball. So Gloria, I noticed you had one block and one squishy ball. So the squishy ball is the one you're going to put between your shoulder blades. All right, so we're going to line this up so that we have this first block lengthwise, and the other one is going to go underneath your head. So once you lie back down onto that block, it's about rib cage height, and then I'm going to take the other block and place it under my head for support. Now you can put it up to its medium setting or to its lowest setting. But we're going into some chest openers now, so let's see if we can find that sweet spot where you're lying on the block without feeling like, oh my God, I can't do this, I'm so tight. And just kind of surrender all of that tension that we use every day to do forward motion, let it release. So from your pulling to your typing to your driving to your walking, we don't really get much of an opportunity to let those muscles relax. And so here it is. We're going to start to float those arms up. And then exhale, feel the heaviness in the arms as you reach them down by your side. And floating those arms up. And hopefully, as you're doing this motion, you're continuing to get that release across the chest, across those pecs, that upper middle back area. And let's try one more. Hold it there. See if you can take it into a bent arm or a cactus arm position. And now bring the elbows and forearms to touch. And so we're opening a little bit more intense through that shoulder. Don't force anything. It should just happen nice and smooth, that you're letting it go. Now take those hands all the way to touch. See if you can touch your elbows. If you can't, don't worry, just get as close as you can. We're gonna try and take those elbows, or sorry, those fingertips overhead. One last big deep stretch here. Inhale. And then exhale, bring the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Extend those arms back to the side. And then bring them around. Bring your chin to your chest. Grab onto those legs. Roll yourself up. Let's take those blocks out from underneath. And then float yourself all the way down. You should have created some nice space. Oh yeah, that's great. Through that torso. All right, let's give our abs a little bit more love here. So sliding yourself to the middle of your mat. We're gonna take those legs up to tabletop nice and easy. Now, take your time with this one. Don't arch your back. We're gonna tap it out for 8 counts. Use those low abdominals. And that space you just created in your upper body, just stay connected to the mat. 4, 3, 2, 1. Legs at tabletop, interlace your fingers behind your head, looking towards your knees, going into your single leg stretch. 8 counts. Reach, reach. And 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding it back in center. Cross it over, opposite elbow towards knee. Back to center. And switch. Center. Switch. Center. Switch. If you got a little shaky abdominal area going on, that's great. You're doing it right. Let's try 4 more. 3. This is where the growth is happening. 2. Getting stronger. Last one. Wrap those legs around, or your hands around your legs. And let's send those legs all the way up. We're going to scissor the legs. Now hold one leg in, pulse the other one down. And switch. And switch. Little trick here, since you've got your yoga block, place it under your head if you have any neck tension. Aha. And you're feeling those abs still, but your head is relaxed. Little trick, it's a nice one to try. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bringing those knees into your chest, going back into that boat pose, and with the option of taking it into your teaser. So I'm going to roll up to the top of my sit bones, slide on one leg first, and then the other leg. Do that a couple times. Once you're connected to your core and you feel stable, try both legs. Teaser is letting go of those hands. Letting go, reaching towards your toes, maybe opening the arms up towards the knees. Bring it all the way. Let's try that one more time. And reach those legs. If that's enough, stay there. If you're feeling adventurous, reach the fingertips up towards those toes. Open the chest. And this time we're going to lower the legs. And reach it forward and stretch. And if that didn't build a little heat in those legs, well, We need to have a conversation. Slowly release. Come all the way up. Let's bring it back to all fours. We're going to make our way to a few standing poses before we finish for the day. No Shavasana today, but still hopefully giving you a nice relaxed ending to class. Let your hips sway from side to side. Let's take one leg straight back behind us. Take your other knee and bring it a little closer. Almost like you're doing your pigeon pose. I want you to lengthen out through that hip flexor on the back leg. And then if you can, walk your forearms down in front of you. So you've got a little bit more pressure on that front hip flexor while you're lengthening. And take a breath in, walking it up to the hands, open the chest, slide the back in, and scoop up. Reaching that first leg away, draw the other knee in close. Walk your hands down onto your mat. You might even be able to take a yoga block and press your head into the yoga block. If that's available, great. If not, just support your body the way you need to. And then take your hands a little closer. Walk it up. This time we're going back into plank. Holding your plank for just a few inhales and exhales. Pull that belly button to your spine. Inhale here. Exhale, start to pike those hips all the way up towards the ceiling. And then let your heels pedal out one side and then the other. See if you can continue to walk your feet up towards your fingertips. Hang out here, grab your opposite elbows. Release any tension in your head and neck. Slide your hands onto your shins, halfway lift. So when you're lifting, pull the belly button in. So your back is nice and long. And then soften the knees, continue all the way up. Swan dive, reach those arms up towards the ceiling. And exhale, find your hip bones. Let's take a nice healthy step back behind us. Turn your toes out and bend your front knee deeply. So with your hands on your hips, can you try to square them off so that your both hips are facing the same directions, and we're going to up towards the ceiling into warrior number one. As you get comfortable with this, press through the back heel and press a little deeper into that front knee. This is a really good move to get those leg muscles stronger. And then on your next exhale, let's float the arms down, turn the hips, come into your warrior number two. I'm reaching those fingertips away and trying to slide the shoulders away from my ears. Slide the back hand down to your back thigh. Reach the top hand up and over. Find that space in your rib cage. Keep that front knee bent if you can. Inhale, back into warrior two. From warrior two, we're going to straighten the front leg. Take the front hand down onto your thigh or your shin. Open up that space between the shoulder blades. Inhale, come back to bent knee. Slide your arm onto your thigh and reach your top hand all the way over. Look down towards your toes, keep active in those legs, and come back into your warrior number one. From warrior number one, we're going to take it down. Step the feet together. Inhale and exhale, step the other leg back. Let's find those hips, square them off, reach the arms up towards the ceiling. Keep that hip bone tucked under so you're not poking your bum muscles out. Going a little deeper and then float those hands into warrior number two. Now your hips are turned away. Slide your back hand down to your side, reach your top hand over your first warrior. Exhale back to warrior number two. Straighten your lead leg, straighten your arm down towards your shin, reach up into your triangle pose. And then staying there, on your next breath, bend your knees, slide your hand onto your thigh, reach your back hand up and over, side bend. And we're gonna keep those legs where they are. Reach both arms up in front of you, back to your warrior number one. And warrior number one. Bend that front knee a little deeper, take your hands all the way down onto your mat. Step both feet together. And then come into a nice little chair, tuck that tailbone. Generate a little heat one more time into those legs and thighs. Take it into a prayer hand position, push into those feet, and then press yourself all the way up, standing nice and tall, reaching those arms overhead. Exhale, float all the way down and in mountain pose. Just turn your head left and right, make sure your neck is feeling lengthened. Left ear to your left shoulder, reach across, gently stretch and reach through the side of the neck. Roll it across to the other side, release that tension, reach the arm down. Inhale, let's reach those hands up one last time. Exhale, dive all the way forward. See if you can slide your fingertips under your toes, lengthen those legs. And then one more final release, bend your knees, roll it all the way up. And let them flow down with the side. And I was almost going to do a bow with you guys. You guys are excellent. You feel amazing, and that openness stays with you the whole day.